You're listening to the Tony Conley Morning Show on 1320 WILS, 1320WILS.com. The Commerce Department's reports on sales in new homes came out recently in regards to July. And the news was very interesting. Let's learn a little bit more about this from Mark Bloom, who's a 1320 WILS and Fox News Radio real estate expert. Mark, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. All right, what do we learn about new home sales here?
So you're seeing new home sales come up, and this is a good thing after coming out of a market where there wasn't a lot of lending to builders. There wasn't a lot of demand for new houses. A lot of the inventory that was on the market was REO or foreclosure inventory. It's a very good thing to see new home starts up, new home sales, and you're going to see that. But let's also keep in mind, and this is not necessarily a bad thing, but new home starts are only accounting, in historically speaking, for about 7 out of 10 purchases in our country. So there's a huge picture there in the real estate market. This is definitely an important factor and one that we're going to see, I think, kind of fits and starts in as we go through this recovery.
All right. Economists forecasts that sales of new homes rose 5.9% last month to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of about 430,000 homes. This data is from FactSet. So how good a deal is this, or should we still be cautiously optimistic?
I mean, I think you should always be cautiously optimistic, but I believe that we are in a stable recovery. You've been seeing a lot of the national markets get that stabilization and or growth from, say, the beginning of 2013 till about now, depending on where you're at. At this point, I think most of our major markets are starting to see recovery. I mean, you're even seeing, I know this isn't necessarily home buyers, but you're seeing a lot of large institutions come into a city like Detroit and start to invest money. I mean, that is the anomaly in our market. So when you're seeing that, I think we're going to see continued growth. You're seeing a good economy. You got good basics. The banks are starting to loosen up a little bit. Interest rates are going to start to go up a little bit, which is good and bad. And we will continue to see growth in the real estate market.
All right, sales of existing homes rose 2.4% in July, according to the report. All right, so we've got small increases in new builds as well as existing home sales. What's the inventory look like for both?
Well, inventories are still small. I mean, you're at least in most major markets, you're still going to see limited inventory because you still are coming out of a downturn in the market. The market was flooded with inventory from banks and from distressed sellers. That has dried up a good bit. And now, as you're seeing the tide really start to turn, it takes a little while for these builders and sellers to get ahead of the demand. You want to see the demand before you see the supply in a good market, and that's kind of what we're seeing. That's why you're seeing these articles. And so they're catching up to what that demand is right now.
Mark, what do you think we can expect for fourth quarter 2014?
Well, I think I can tell you my personal opinion is that you're going to see continued growth well out into 2016, 2017. We're in cycles. You're going to continue to see that cycle, barring any major change. We do have an election coming up, so that throws a bit of uncertainty into the whole picture. Interest rates are going to go up. That is going to affect demand, but at the same time, it's going to loosen up lending, which hopefully will be replaced by more stable demand.
We've been talking with Mark Bloom, who's a 1320 WILS and Fox News Radio real estate expert. Thanks so much, Mark.
No, my pleasure.
You're listening to the Tony Conley Morning Show and more compelling talk radio, 1320 WILS and 1320WILS.com.